guys, my name is Lelasophia. I am an artist and fine jewelry designer. If you like contemporary fine jewelry, if you like luxury handbags, all things interiors, then I have some fun videos for you. You guys, okay, the topic on everybody's mouth as the internet does. You know, things trend and we talk about them sometimes. I felt as though, you know, it was my duty to weigh in on all things the Row, as I fancy myself a little collector here and there. The Row has some new investors, okay? Let's talk about it all. But first and foremost, if you guys are new here, thank you so much for tuning in. I can't wait to see you in all of my future videos. Make sure that you like this video, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram at Lelasophia Jewelry. I put up videos every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, and so I cannot wait to see you guys in the next one. Okay, so we're just gonna jump right into it because we know I could talk about this for an hour. Just for anybody who is new, I have been collecting the Row for the last several years, not just two, I think like 3.5-ish years, something like that. I always give credit to the OG Row collector in my family, who is my mom. Bow down. I think we are nearing a similar bag count. I currently have 10. I've owned 11. I just sold one. These are my pride and joys, okay? These are my babies. These have been very carefully curated over the last couple years. And, you know, to put it lightly, I'm completely obsessed. My own personal collection is not why we're here today, okay? I think I have an almost updated collection in my channel. I have an updated collection on my TikTok. That is what I will post, okay? That's the most recent one. However, just to show that I really do love the Row and I have bought into it a lot and I love their quality over anything. The simplicity of the bags, the timelessness of the bags, I don't know. Something about it is just very much so me and my mom, and it's what we can share together and love. And so honestly, it's not like I was so shocked to hear this news, but I was perhaps a little bit taken aback is a better way to say it, because I think a huge part of why my mom and I have always loved the Row so much, and why I feel like I really started buying into it over the last couple years, is because of the insane quality. And I know I just said that, but it's kind of the #1 selling point for me. And the fact that it is just so me. There's something about it that I love how generational it is. I love that my mom and I can so obsess over it. I love that, you know, if my grandparents were alive, they would love the Row. If my aunt was here, she would love the Row. We all could go to the store together. It would be so fun. My brother, who's younger than me, loves the Row. My older siblings love the Row. My sister-in-law loves the Row. It's a whole thing. Maybe it's very New York of me, but it seems so generational and it feels as though I can be collecting their bags from now until forever and I can still pass them down. So they not only seem like not financial investments, but investments in my closet. I really feel like they could be forever investments. God willing, one day to pass down to my kids. I could, you know, swap out bags with my mom, which would be super fun. We could do that easily, which I can't name another brand, maybe Bottega, but I really couldn't think of another brand that we could share so interchangeably. And I just love their ethos, which is why we're here today, because their entire brand ethos from the very beginning, when they used to do snippets, tiny little interviews, very sparingly, which now they don't. They only have one, article, written issue over the last year. And other than that, like even at their CFDA acceptance speeches, they barely talk. But from those very early days when they did not want to be the face of the brand, they made sure to be as anonymous as possible with their own designs. Their mission statement was, we want to make the best quality. We want to keep our quality. And so, of course, my brain, when I'm hearing, oh my God, there are now outside investors of the Row, is board meetings. I think that was my initial thought was, oh no, now they're gonna have quotas and board meetings. And people are gonna be saying, we need to make our margins higher. And I'm gonna put positive spins on this video because it is and I always try to do that. So we're gonna look at it from the positive perspective from here on out, hopefully, but just have to start off by saying that because that did worry me. I'm not going to lie, that scared me. But then I thought to myself, no, I know them. I know that every single one of these bags, some of which I have my doctor's bag back there, which is from their very first bag collection. So one of the very first bags they ever made, to the most recent, my Abbey bag, my 90s bag, my Bindle bag from the actual most recent drop collection from the summer 2024 collection. The quality has only, like, it just, honestly, it speaks for itself. It's kind of insane. One of my dear friends and I were just talking about how, which we'll get into in a second, on how so many fragrances get reformulated. You know, we already know this in the bag community, that as soon as things start to get popular, they want, you know, they have higher demand, they want to make things for cheaper, they want to increase their margins, they have more people to answer to, and quality typically goes down. That was my number one fear. And that will probably be my number one fear, you know, until I'm proven otherwise, which I really, really in my heart do think, until I'm proven that the quality is gonna stay the exact same. That's my only fear, because as soon as you have people to start, you know, answering to, you might say to yourself, oh, we can cut this cost. Oh, we can, you know, we can make our margins a little higher if we produce more at a different factory, yada, yada, yada. All those things that I really don't think that they're going to do. But that, of course, that's the biggest fear. That was my number one. My number two is controversial, and it's not even as controversial anymore. I'm very glad that some people are, you know, we're all on a similar bandwagon, but I have beef with Chanel. Let's just go for it. And I've said that, and I swear that's the only time in my channel history when I've like lost a bunch of followers, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. So I know that there are diehard Chanel fans. It actually has nothing to do with the designs. It has to do with like the insanity of the quality going down so dramatically while the prices were going up so dramatically. That seems somewhat unethical to me, especially as a designer myself. I have such a tiny little brand, which I'll make other, you know, parallels to in a second, but that just seems like something about it seems unethical to me. That's insane. That's just greed. And then there are personal reasons, because the generations of Chanel have not exactly been the most ethical. I've been thinking a lot about, where does an owner, you know, like how does that factor into something? I don't know them personally, and so I can't really like deduct an opinion. But however, I also really took time. I took like a week to think about this all and let it sit with me, because I already had been thinking, what part do the actual like umbrella overlord owners have to do with an actual brand, and where do my morals stand in it, and who do I want to support and who don't I want to support? Because that doesn't have to do with the design team. I love their designs. I love Chanel's designs, to be really honest. And so where should I fit into the conversation? Should I be completely writing off brands just because I don't agree with certain practices, possibly or allegedly, that I've, you know, have been reported are happening? I'm honestly not sure. And so honestly, way down below, because of course, then it's like my fear happened, which is, oh my God, what do I do now? Because I've been vocal about not wanting to support Chanel under its current owners. And so now they're have a stake in my favorite brand. This is all my personal stuff. But to get to the nitty gritty of, you know, let's get to the positives finally, after I've said it for so long. Because here's the thing, is that even though, again, I am clearly a prideful human being, my tiny little brand, lelasophia jewelry, that I do every step of myself except for actually pouring the actual gold, because I am not a billionaire to be able to invest in insane amounts of gold in my house and the whole thing. Every single thing I do myself. And so I definitely have, you know, some pride issues with taking on outside investors. And I think I really, obviously the row is, you know, hundreds of millions of times what I am. I just, something in me, my pride, which I should probably work on, really always really loved that they were, you know, self-run, that they were independent, that they didn't have massive outside investors that we knew of. And now that, I guess, kind of confirms it, because this seems like the first time. That meant a lot to me, because I'm an independent designer. They did it for for 18 years by themselves. And yes, they are celebrities at the end of the day. I'm not just grazing by that. I know that they have way more capital, but it also allowed them, here we're getting into the actual points, it allowed them to have a bad year and to be okay, and to not have their quality go down, and not, you know, raise their prices and lower their quality. It allowed them, you know, it allowed them wiggle room, being their own owners, being their own bosses, allowed them wiggle room. And again, those are all alleged numbers, but I think they have talked about, and it's kind of clear because they had an amazing company, Elizabeth and James, which I actually sold like 10 years ago at a really cute little independent multi-brand store, and I loved them. I loved selling them, and people loved them. And then when it was time to close, they closed. You know, they're not being stupid. They've clearly ebbed and flowed as the insane markets have ebbed and flowed, and the financial, you know, the world financial markets have ebbed and flowed. And when you are your own owners, you can do that. You can afford that. They could afford to have a bad year, and they kept up their quality through all of those times. Think about, they started in 2006. So they've gone through almost 2 recessions. I don't know if this current one was ever actually deemed as a recession, but you know, they've gone through some very intensive world events, shall we say, and they've kept their quality through the entirety of it. But I think that there are some real positive things if they are to keep their mission statement. So I'm really looking forward to the fact that this opens up so many more avenues. In my brain, I've been trying to think of it as like, if they just keep their clothing and their shoes and their bags where it already is, meaning the quality is absolutely incredible, meaning they make it, like, accessibility is obviously awesome. I'm not one of those people who thinks, oh my God, now everybody's gonna have access and buy it whenever. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in the whole thing, because I'm sorry, you can walk into a Cartier store and you don't have to be on a waiting. I mean, maybe for some pieces, or maybe that's changed, but simply, point blank, period. The row should be accessible to whoever wants to buy the row, I think. I don't think that like the quantity of items all of a sudden makes it an oversaturated piece. That argument I don't really believe in. Maybe some people do want things that other people don't have or don't have access to, which is a very messed up mindset in my humble opinion. Like, how are you gonna want things just because somebody else doesn't have access to it? Which is why we go vintage Hermes, okay? I promise you. Long story short, the access level is not of a concern to me. I think that if this gives them more capital to make more pieces, to be more readily available, amazing, as they should be. Not everybody is going to want very niche, kind of simplistic bags that just feel really nice to the touch and can be worn forever. People are gonna want trendier things. People are gonna, guys, we're gonna go back to logos. We know that, right? Like, flip-flop, hello, I'm sure in the next 5 years, logos are gonna be the big thing. Accessibility, I think, should not be a part of the conversation, because things should always be accessible. So if it means that they can make more production, amazing, love that. I'm hoping it means that they can open up some more stores. And when I tell you, their store in New York, I wish I've been to the one in London. I wish I've been to the one in California. I did not get a chance to go to the one in the Hamptons this year. I mean, the one in New York is all I'm going based off of, and it's the most beautiful store I've ever seen in my life. It is a pleasure to go in every single time I do. It is beautiful. And so even if it's them opening up 3 more stores, having a little bit of a presence in Paris and Tokyo, and oh my God, can we imagine? Oh, I'm gonna have to do trips just to go to these beautiful stores. Their stores probably require quite a bit of capital to be opened, okay? As someone who has opened a store, I can't imagine doing a full build out. I don't know if they did a full build out of their townhouse or if it was like that again, but the row is in a townhouse. It is 3 floors from what I know. They might have a storage situation somewhere, but 3 accessible floors and the most beautiful floors you've ever seen. Clearly I'm a minimalist, so I love this stuff, okay? So opening up more stores, creating more product, that's the good part, as long as they keep their quality. Here is the positive, is because we know that this is not just the owners of Chanel, this is also the owner of L'Oreal, this is also one of the founders of Net-a-Porter and Motor Operandi. These are the heaviest hitters of the heaviest hitters, okay? These are the heavy hitters. These are the people who have God only knows how much say in the fashion industry, and God only knows how much power, not only power, but financial power, okay? These are the people of the people. It's quite impressive that they all, like so many of the best people or the whatever highest positioned people in the fashion and beauty industry have expressed interest, so much so that they've now bought into the row, literally. And just so we don't get confused, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen still own majority stake. So we're good. And at least I do know a little something about, you know, percentages and whatnot. And so they will always have the controlling power in my brain. I can't imagine them ever giving that up. And hopefully if they do, it'll be in 50 years and I will have collected all the things that I want to collect, because I already was chatting with one of you guys and I'm like, at least I have 10 of their bags. Sophia, I'm gonna want one from the winter collection. I'm gonna want one next year, and I'm probably gonna want one in 20 years too. So let me keep myself humble. Long story very long, as I always say. What I am envisioning from the list of people who have invested, not to say that this was my idea in any sort of way, shape, or form, but every time I've gone into the row, especially when I really started going there a lot over the past like 2 years, I think like exactly 2 years, when I first stepped in, I looked over and they have some fragrances and I said, oh, the row makes fragrances? And then I looked over to another corner, I said, oh, the row makes sunglasses? I didn't even know. And then I looked over to another cabinet and I said, oh, this is the most beautiful jewelry I've ever seen. Does the row make jewelry? None of those things were actually by the row except for a sunglass collab that they've done. But every time I saw a new little corner with a little piece or little section like beautifully perched and curated, I always immediately thought to myself, oh my God, they finally launched fragrances. Oh my God, they finally launched sunglasses. None of which were ever the case. Of course, I saw, you know, the Lindo Farrow collab a couple years ago, and then Anna Corey was just like perfectly perched in beautiful, you know, glass cases. Anna Corey is the tippity top of the tippity top currently in our fine jewelry industry. She is couture level jewelry, yet wearable. And that was no shade, but also very much a shade to some of the couture designers. Anyways, that's very niche to my industry. So there have been couture level designers that make $50,000 pieces that, you know, aren't exactly as wearable or relevant to today. Anna Corey makes relevant couture pieces. She's the best of the best in my eyes, one of the best of the best. And so them featuring her, I was like, okay, we're putting two and two together, having the beautiful fragrance brands that they've always had. We've been, you know, the calculations have always been made. And so in my very positive spin on this, I think that this is so that they can launch beauty, that they can launch fragrance. And I think this is pretty obvious. Like, I'm not the one coming up with this idea. I think it is quite obvious if it hasn't even been said already in actual print. I think that they are going to launch the most beautiful fragrance line. I think that they're going to launch the most beautiful sunglasses. I think that they're going to launch the most beautiful jewelry. Can we imagine their fine jewelry? I would, oh my God, you have no idea. I think that they have access to some of the best up-and-coming designers. And what I've always said, I've appreciated about the row is that they tap in those designers to do collaborations with them that I'm talking about. And so could you imagine having Anna Corey on the design team? Could you imagine having El Hanati on the design team? Could you imagine having some of these like icon level bow down jewelry designers on the design team of the Row's fine jewelry? And let me tell you, the current price of gold is not going down any like at all, probably ever. And so that is where capital is needed. It is very expensive to launch a fragrance brand. And you know that they'll do extraits de parfum, you know, like they'll do the most concentrated, beautiful oils. You know that they'll have Japanese made, very low quantity sunglasses. I'm just dreaming here a bit, but that is where my first thoughts went to. I talked about it at my birthday dinner with my family. I was like, oh my God, not very happy, but if this means we're getting fragrance and jewelry, I would love to see what that design perspective is, because I think it would be iconic and I'm a fan of every single article that they create. Increasing their menswear collection would be amazing. Editing Sophia, jumping in here. I forgot my other point, which was, it's a selfish one, but if increased capital means that the row could extend their sizes, I would be a very, 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 very happy girl. I mean, there's so many things. And the last point, which I, again, am not the first person to think of, Fashion Roadman and of course Mary, who we know we love so much, have already done videos on this, and Fashion Roadman brought up many amazing points. They could also do homes. They could, do homes, but they could do homeware or home accessories or even interior designing, because every single time I go to the row, which is probably every couple of months, they have a whole new setup, or, you know, some areas are completely newly set up. And again, they have worked with the best of the best interiors. And again, they have had the best of the best pieces, archival vintage to completely new contemporary Green River projects. They have had every single floor had pieces littered with beautiful pieces by Green River Projects, who is one of the coolest design houses, the husband of Emily Adams Bodie and his amazing partner. Like, I mean, it's kind of the best of the best. I also was thinking, because Ashley Olsen's husband is an amazing artist, I think I've said that before, but just to reiterate, I am very annoyingly, pretentiously picky. I actually love his art. His art is incredible. They could start sponsoring artists. They could start doing gallery shows. I mean, there are so many ways in which this could be positive with the influx of capital that they are about to receive or are receiving, and with their new valuation of $1 billion. Like, hello, that feat, are we kidding? That's insane. And recently, I mean, I'm about to say a statement that is not very well researched, so please, you know, this is alleged, but honestly, a lot of the newer billion-dollar brands have been beauty focused. So to have a clothing and accessory brand that's new in the last 20 years be evaluated at $1 billion is kind of an insane feat. Like, you have to give that. You have to just give space for that, because that's kind of amazing. So that's my overview. Very long, longer than of course, every video is longer than I expected. I really think, here's the positive thing the last positive thing, positive penny over here, that I'm going to add, which I'm sure, you know, to all of you who've stayed this long, thank you so much. But here is the thing, is that I did think to myself before filming, I was like, you know what? As I'm researching all this, as I'm thinking about it so much the last week, as I have been thinking about it so much the last week, this could actually create new industry standards for quality, because if they keep their quality and scale up to God only knows what they're about to scale up to, hello, why would you buy these other brands that are, you know, allegedly being made in completely unethical factories or, you know, conditions? I mean, what, like, you know what I mean? Why would we do that? Why would we buy into brands? And it exposes those brands, if they're able to keep their quality and, you know, grow to a whole new scale, be exactly what I've spoken about and did an entire video about, be the new luxury, be next in luxury, be the new players, okay? Not saying we have to knock Dior and Chanel and everybody, you know, Miu Miu and Prada off of the conversation, but the row is positioning themselves to be next in luxury. They are luxury, I think, in my opinion. And so this scale, I think, could really completely change the game if they play it right, and if they keep their quality, increase their quality, and add beauty and fragrance and jewelry and more stores and everything that we just talked about, interiors. This is a game changer. And like, what's y'all's excuse, okay? Greediness, margins, profit margins, like, it could be the most positive thing that's ever happened in our industry and really create a whole new vibe, to put it very lightly. I'm so curious to hear all of your thoughts. Thank you guys as always for watching. We're gonna get it poppin' in the comment section, okay? I love you guys so much, and I cannot wait to see you in my next one. Bye guys.